This is 8-7 quadratic formula and the discriminant. The quadratic formula is listed there as x equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. And then the discriminant lives underneath the square root. It's just the b squared minus 4ac. We'll go over the purpose of that when we get to the examples. Okay, example 1a is 6x squared plus 5x minus 4. So that means that a is 6, b is 5, and c is negative 4. And we're going to use the quadratic formula, which is negative b, so negative 5, plus or minus the square root of b squared. If I were you guys, if you put everything underneath, everything in parentheses that's underneath the square root, you can just use your calculators from there. So b squared minus 4 times a times c. So every variable I replaced was with parentheses, all over 2a. So in your calculator, you should use the stuff that's underneath the square root first. You may even be able to put it all in with the square root. So we'll try that in a second. And then from there, we keep calculating.
The square root, like, where's this
25. 24 times 4, 96. 25 plus 96. All over 12. Negative 5 plus or minus the square root of 121. All over 12. And then once you get here, you make two separate math problems. Negative 5 plus the square root of 121, which is 11, all over 12. And then your other math problem, negative 5 minus 11, all over 12. Calculate both of those, and you get 1/2 and negative 16 over 12, which simplifies to negative 4 over 3. So in example 1b, we are going to move the x and the 20 to the left so that we can put this into standard form. So x will become negative x and 20 will become negative 20. Now we're in standard form and we can put our a as 1, our b is negative 1, and our c is negative 20. So we start plugging into the formula. Negative b, which would make that positive 1, plus or minus the square root of, and I'm going to put everything in parentheses, negative 1 squared for b squared, minus 4 times a times c, which is negative 20. All over 2a, so 2 times 1. Remember to do your square root first, so you guys can use your calculator, or you can actually multiply it out. If you multiply it out, you get 1, and that becomes positive 80. And the square root of 81 should get you 9. So again, you can use your calculator to simplify the square root all the way. Once you've simplified the square root and multiplied the 2 times a, then you're going to make your two math problems. One is going to be 1 plus 9 all over 2, and the other is 1 minus 9 all over 2. So I get 10 over 2, which is 5, and 1 minus 9 is negative 8 over 2, which is negative 4. Okay, in example 2a, we have a is 1, b is 3, and c is negative 7. So let's use the formula. Negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4 times a times c, all over 2a. 2 times 1, which is just 2. Okay, we're going to do the square root first. Everything that's underneath that square root, you want to put in your calculator first. If you use those parentheses, it's going to help you. Once you put that in your calculator, you should get the square root of 37. That is not an even square root. If it were 36, it would be 6, so it's got to be close to that. But it says we can round to the nearest hundredth, so I'm going to take the square root of 37 in my calculator, and it comes out to 6.08. And then you make two math problems. One is -3 plus 6.08 divided by 2, and the other is -3 minus 6.08 divided by 2. And then when you calculate those, you get 1.54. And -4.54. Due to time constraints, I had to just put the answer for example 2B. If you want to pause the video, you can, and write all of that down or try that yourself and see if you get the answer. Okay, so the next thing is the discriminant. A discriminant is part of the quadratic formula, but it only tells us how many solutions a quadratic can have. Remember that if we have a parabola, it could have two solutions if it hits the zeros twice, the x-axis twice. It could have one solution if it hits the x-axis once, or it could never hit the x-axis and it has no solutions. So the discriminant tells us that. The discriminant is just b squared minus 4ac. That's the formula. So if you use the parentheses when you plug into b squared minus 4ac, your calculator will give you the answer. You never have to square root this one. So a is 3, b is -2, c is 2. So b squared, -2 in parentheses squared, minus 4 times a, which is 3, times c, which is 2. And we calculate this answer, and I got -20. There's rules about discriminants. If you get a negative number, there's going to be no solution. It makes sense because the negative is normally underneath the square root. So that's why it's no solution. If you get a 0, then it only has one solution. And if you get a positive number, you would have two solutions. So in this case, because we got a negative number, the answer is that there are no solutions. It says find the number of real solutions. There are no real solutions for that one. Let's go right to example 3b. A is 2, b is 11, c is 12. Negative b plus or minus, oh, sorry, don't do that. It's just b squared minus 4ac. b squared minus 4 times a times c. So that's 121 minus 96, which is going to definitely be a positive number. I don't even have to finish calculating to get the discriminant if I don't want to, because I know that since it's positive, it's going to have two solutions. If we keep calculating, our discriminant would be 25, though. And the last one, A is 1, B is 8, C is 16, B squared minus 4 times A times C, 64 minus 64, which is 0. Again, at this point, you guys could just put that in your calculator. If it's 0, it's going to have one solution.